The first memory that comes to me isn't pain, it's the hush that fell over the church hall. Not the warm, ceremonial kind, but an icy one, the sort that prickles under your collar and makes you feel exposed. I stood at the pulpit, still clutching my note cards, although I didn't need them anymore. My dream had already blazed through me too many times for me to forget, the ancient ceiling fan word overhead. My mother sat steely-eyed in the front pew, arms crossed, lips drawn so tight she looked like a statue carved from disappointment. On either side of her, elders and neighbors lined the pews in pressed suits or Sunday dresses, uniforms of agreement. Pastor Kim tapped his notes meaningfully against the podium, his voice as gentle as gravel. "So Jihoon believes he has a calling," he said, not to me but to everyone else. "A filmmaker, documentaries," he says. "Traveling to record the pain of strangers." A ripple of sarcastic laughter bobbed in the back row. My uncle, broad-shouldered and quick to judge, called out, "Why not get a real job, eh? We'll all watch when you're back here working deliveries." It got the first hearty laugh of the morning. I wanted to hide, but angry tears burned in the corners of my eyes. My father stared down at his shoes, unwilling to join the pylon or defend me. I recognized the stare. It meant I was embarrassing him. I swallowed, throat tight. "I want to document the truth about people's lives, all the parts ignored or erased." My voice wavered, but I forced myself not to look away. Sujin, my older cousin, chimed in, "That truth won't fill your belly. You want to wander and film sadness while we fix roof leaks. What's so special about you?" I gripped the podium until my knuckles whitened. Maybe nothing's special. But I can't forget the faces I see in those stories. It means something to me, even if, my voice faltered. I heard my own loneliness echo in the silent, watchful space between sentences. Aunt Hyojin, usually mild, sounded almost apologetic. "Your mother says you haven't applied to any real company jobs. Don't throw your life away on a fantasy, Jihoon." "That's enough," Pastor Kim said. "We're here to guide, not to shame." His voice tried for softness, but the message roared through his words all the same. I knew his kindness would not last past the closing prayer. The prayer ended, and people formed a slow, judgmental queue for bland rice cakes and tea. I sat in a folding chair near the edge of the room, ignored except for a few pitying looks. My mother swept past, eyes damp. She pressed a sad, limp hand on my shoulder, less for comfort than for protocol. Afterward, in our two-room apartment, she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Just apply to the banks like your cousin. Forget this movie nonsense. Do you want to live alone forever?" I left before the sun rose the next morning. No note, only the weight of her silence and the ache of my own stubborn hope as I caught the subway across the city. The car doors closed, and it felt like the only applause I'd get for years. I became an errand boy first, ran coffee and batteries for local studios too sweaty and loud for someone so shy. The office junior, always on the margins. The cameras fascinated me not because of their technology, but because they captured pain without judging. I worked silently, grateful for scraps of editing work offered late at night when others wanted to go home. By the third year, I slept in a box of a room, with a futon that smelled like mildew and the whir of city traffic to lull me to sleep. Some days I almost believed my family was right as I gnawed convenience store bread and watched my bank balance evaporate. But then I'd catch someone's eyes in a documentary, the soft shimmer of sadness or hope, and the urge returned. Not ambition, need, the desperate need to show someone's truth. I taught myself using borrowed gear. Short films about the street vendors, the migrant workers, the old men fishing along the Han River no one noticed. I'd upload videos at midnight, my inbox always empty. Even so, I felt the pride that comes from capturing silence, moments of beauty too fragile for words. Each shot felt like breathing underwater, painful, cleansing, necessary. 7 years after that church hall shame, I stood in a cheap black suit outside the Seoul Human Rights Film Festival. The building was nothing like a church, stripped concrete, blinding glass, the smell of burnt coffee and sweat, but I felt the same sick flutter in my stomach. I watched my name flash on a projection screen for the first time. People murmured, "That's him," and not from mockery but from curiosity. My film, Han River Hidden Faces, was showing last. The lights dimmed. I watched an audience of strangers watch my world. I heard real tears in the audience and some laughter too at the right moments. When the end credits rolled, there were no boos, only stunned silence and finally applause. I trembled so hard I almost spilled my paper cup of tea. Film critics wrote, reviewers called it urgent and intimate. Suddenly my inbox wasn't empty. Invitations came from Berlin, Busan, Tokyo. My hands shook every time I hit reply. The money was never what my uncle would call real, nothing like a lawyer's salary or a bank clerk's steady checks. But for the first time, I could pay for a studio apartment on the honest work of my own hands. I didn't go hungry. I bought my mother a winter coat with the first real payment. She didn't thank me in words, but she wore it every time I visited. Years passed. I filmed in sweatshops and mountain villages, documenting people who never saw themselves on any screen. I grew a beard. My name was now whispered hopefully among young Seoul artists in thrift store cafes, but I never went back to the church hall, not for years, not until the phone call came. Pastor Kim was retiring, and someone thought it would be nice to have a success story at the celebration dinner. At first I didn't answer. I thought about my mother's silent face at the pew, my uncle's fist-sized laughter and my cousin's clipped snide remarks. I sat at my window watching neon bleed across wet asphalt. I asked myself, can you forgive a place before you've forgiven yourself for needing its approval? I said yes without telling my mother, just as I'd left all those years before. On the night I took the subway, a habit still too strong to break, even after minor fame, I clutched a cardboard box wrapped in black tape and forced myself to breathe. The church hall looked smaller than I remembered, but the smell of rice cakes and old hymnals clawed back every ghost. At the door, Pastor Kim greeted me, older, stooped, lines radiating from his tired eyes. Jehuna, he said, using my childhood suffix, we are proud of you. You know, many here remember that day. His words had softened with time, but their weight pressed on me. The room was packed. My mother sat stone still, regal in her thrift store finery. My uncle, shrunken and grayer, eyed me with something between regret and defensiveness. Cousin Sujin scrolled her phone, pretending indifference. The air crackled with nervous apprehension. No one wanted to be the first to speak. Pastor Kim took the stage. Before we begin, we've invited Jihoon, who, as you know once, well, let's just say he went his own way. He has something to show us. I felt the eyes, some curious, others wary, some still heavy with judgment. I set the cardboard box on the table beside the projector. I had prepared for this moment, though I told myself I wouldn't care. But I did care more than I thought possible. I pulled out the Golden Laurel, Best Documentary, Busan International Film Festival. Most in the room didn't know what it signified, but the engraved Korean on the plaque carried weight. Best in Social Justice Storytelling. I saw my mother's breath catch just a whisper at the base of her throat. I let the laurel sit beside the projector, then quietly I spoke. You might remember that day. My hand trembled. You called it a fantasy, but I have spent 10 years sitting with people no one wanted to listen to. Their pain is not a fantasy. I started with nothing except the need to show what's real. A few of the church ladies nodded awkwardly, unsure how to react. My uncle shifted in his chair, jaw working as if he had something to say but no voice to say it. I kept my words spare. I brought a short film, it's only 10 minutes. But I hope you'll see what I see. The lights dimmed and my film flickered on the old pull-down screen. For 10 minutes my hometown came alive, the fruit vendor mother who lost her son, the seamstress who worked 18-hour days. The old man sweeping the alley, the river dark and wide, holding stories none of them could speak aloud. The images were stark but not cruel, the small, ordinary moments stitched together, defeat and laughter, love and grief. All the things I had once begged someone here to notice. I watched faces. There was silence, but something had changed in it. No laughter now. Cousin Sujin rubbed her sleeve across her damp cheek. Pastor Kim's eyes shone with something unsaid. My mother's hands, still and raw, clutched the laurel like a relic. As the film ended, the lights rose on a room quieter than grief. Even my uncle, usually so quick with a joke, looked away, unable to meet my gaze. Pastor Kim spoke softly. Jihoon, I am sorry. I did not see how strong your calling burned. You've brought us all home in a way. Another parishioner, Mrs. Park, known for her acid tongue, broke the silence. I watched your story, Jihoon. I saw myself in it. I didn't think I would, thank you. The words didn't fix everything. My mother stood slowly coming to the front. She laid her hand on my cheek in front of everyone. Her touch, soft and trembling, was all the apology I would get or need. For the first time, pride warred with grief in her eyes, and I realized both could live together. For the remainder of the night, people came forward timidly at first. They spoke about their children, lost dreams, things they'd never said. The woman who ran the community kitchen tried to give me an envelope of cash, as if the act of helping finally made sense to her. I refused, but the gesture was a binding thread. My uncle sidestepped toward me, shoulders hunched. He didn't apologize, but he asked after my next film with genuine curiosity. I gave a brief answer, and for the first time we didn't argue. Outside, the city's chill pressed against my suit, but I felt no cold. The old neon glow, once oppressive, seemed to welcome me this time. My mother followed me to the curb. She didn't say much, just pressed my hand. "Go home safe," she whispered. "Next time, bring your camera and show me the city through your eyes." I promised her I would, and for the first time it wasn't out of defiance or guilt, but simply love. As I crossed the street, I glanced back at the church hall, luminous in the haze. Inside, I knew my film was still flickering in the minds of those who doubted, shamed, and watched. That night I learned that redemption isn't thunderous or public. It's as quiet as a film projector humming in the dark, warm as a mother's hand, and real as a dream finally made true. And somewhere deeper I heard my own voice again, not alone but answered.